hang out with Vivek, who writes for Knicks Film School, and he's a big history buff, giving us daily history on the Knicks. So today, we're going to talk about the Easter Sunday game.
Yep, Carmelo Anthony's 43-point outburst against the Chicago Bulls on national TV, April 8th, 2012.
I think we see Willis coming out. Here comes Willis.
Welcome to the Mecca Respect. We deserve that. Willis, Reed, Wall, Clyde, give them a slow clap. From the Pearl to Patrick, and they should know that. This is the
Knicks Throwback.
Houston's Pre, Starks, Oaks, and Mace. Melo and the King getting buckets in your face. When LJ hit the three, we ain't really know how to act. Through the history almanac, this the
Knicks Throwback.
While it's certainly true that Melo's tenure in New York City did not pan out the way many hoped, there was a moment. We're talking about the Easter game.
The Melo Easter game. Legendary.
Let's flash back to 2011-2012 season to remember where we were.
The 2011-2012 New York Knicks season was a tale of 3 episodes. The first was a dream of high expectations. The previous season marked the beginning of a new era. Amari Stoudemire became the highest profile free agent in team history with a 5-year, $100 million contract.
Yep, the Knicks are back.
His near MVP performance helped facilitate the acquisition of Carmelo Anthony mid-season.
Anthony going to his desired destination, Madison Square Garden, to play with the Knicks.
The new dynamic duo led the Knicks back to the playoffs for the first time since 2004. Even though the Boston Celtics swept the Knicks, there was plenty of promise for the future.
Come up in the town, when you see it, you know everything. Statin' Melo, statin' Melo, statin' Melo, statin' Melo.
In typical Knicks fashion, though, there were several bumps in the road. Donnie Walsh, the GM for the past 3 seasons, resigned after failing to agree to a contract extension. The NBA lockout shut down the league for nearly 6 months. NBA free agency and training camp both started on December 9th, preseason December 16th, and NBA games on Christmas Day. Tumultuous. To add to that, the Knicks acquired Tyson Chandler in a sign and trade, but out was Chauncey Billups, whom the Knicks amnestied to acquire Chandler. Without any depth at point guard outside of Tony Douglas, the Knicks signed 33-year-old Mike Bibby and 32-year-old Baron Davis, expecting the latter to eventually become the team's starting point guard after recovering from a back injury. Mike D'Antoni only had 16 days to figure out how to utilize a roster without a true point guard. But to make things worse, he was a lame duck coach and had to deal with 2 stars who didn't show up to camp in their best game shape. Yup, Stat and Melo. As expected, the Knicks struggled. The lack of point guard depth proved problematic, the Melo and Amari pairing lacked cohesion, and the defense was not consistent. Losing 11-13 games between January to early February did not help either, until Linsanity. The Knicks won 10 of their next 13 that coincided with Amari away from the team due to a family tragedy and Melo sidelined with a groin injury. But, just like Cinderella, the clock struck midnight. Melo and Stat returned, and the Knicks went on a 6-game losing streak that officially marked the end of the Mike D'Antoni era, when he resigned after a national TV loss against the Chicago Bulls. Assistant coach Mike Woodson, the defensive coach per se, took over as the interim coach and the Knicks went on a roll. The Knicks won 10 of their next 13 games, the pace slowed down and Melo became the focal point of the offense. However, the Knicks were still only 28-27 and barely clawed onto the number 8 seed when they approached Easter Sunday with a matinee national TV matchup against the Chicago Bulls.
Welcome to the Sunday Showcase on a beautiful April Sunday afternoon in New York City. A sellout crowd on Easter Sunday at Madison Square Garden.
Jeremy Lin was out with the torn meniscus and Amari Stoudemire was out with the bulging disc in his back. Unlike the Knicks, the Chicago Bulls comfortably cruised atop the Eastern Conference with the number 1 seed. The Bulls were 43-13, already clinched a playoff berth and was close to clinching the division title, a well-oiled defensive machine that already defeated the Knicks twice with the combination of the ferocious reigning MVP in Derrick Rose and a front court trio of Joakim Noah, Luol Deng, and Taj Gibson. At the outset, the Knicks started the game strong, up 27-6. Carmelo Anthony was on fire in the first half, scoring 22 points on 14 shots. But, in typical Knicks fashion, the Bulls roared back to take the lead. They even led by 10 points midway through the fourth. Outside of Melo, who made 2 of 3 from 3, the Knicks were ice cold from downtown. J.R. Smith was 2 for 9 from 3, Steve Novak couldn't buy a bucket, and Iman Shumpert was too busy playing defense that he could barely buy a shot either. Baron Davis was 1 for 7, and speaking of him, the Knicks essentially finished the game with Iman Shumpert as the de facto point guard. Davis only played 21 minutes and Tony Douglas only got 9. Shump spent all his energy stopping Derrick Rose the best he could. Oh, before we go anywhere, let's not forget Carlos Boozer's bad hair day. But, back to the fourth, there were 3 pivotal plays before the first shot. The first was the Melo 3-point play that cut a 5-point deficit to 2 with a minute remaining.
With the rebound, final minute here at the Garden. Anthony high steps, gets to the basket, gets hit, puts it in, and one. Chance for a 3-point play as the Knicks cut it to 3. Tough, aggressive move from Carmelo Anthony. Shumpert comes.
The second was that Carmelo Anthony almost had the game-tying assist to Steve Novak. His 3 rattled in and out of the rim. Novak couldn't buy a bucket in the game, but everyone in Madison Square Garden thought the shot was going in, and it almost did.
Anthony catches, finds Novak. Novak for 3. Oh, in and out! Halfway down!
Oh my goodness.
The most important play, though, is when Derrick Rose missed those 2 free throws and J.R. Smith grabbed the rebound out of nowhere. Rather than calling timeout, Mike Woodson let Melo go, and the rest is history.
No. Anthony for 3. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied. 38 points for Carmelo Anthony, and a long 3-pointer to tie the game with 11.2 remaining. And missed free throws down the stretch by Chicago.
4 straight missed free throws, and this is why, with this much time, I wouldn't have fouled you. Not shot the free throw well. Well, your 2 best players missed 4 straight free throws, Dang and Rose. Here, Gibson has to push up, but this is just an incredible shot.
The 2 things I remember most vividly is Mike Breen's bang and the MSG crowd roaring after the shot. Melo was about a few feet behind the 3-point line and shot it over Taj Gibson. Crazy thing is that it probably wasn't even the best shot he could have took. You could tell though, especially since the shot rattled in and wasn't swished. Now had he missed the shot,
Another episode.
But, here's the $1 million question. Who was the fan that tried to grab Melo after he made the shot? Now on a final note, Shump guarded Derrick Rose really well in the final shot of regulation where Rose missed it to force the game into overtime.
Back, puts it up, off the mark, overtime at the Garden.
So about that second shot in overtime. The Knicks were down 4. Melo hit a layup to cut the deficit to 2. The next play was an amazing defensive stop by Shumpert that allowed J.R. Smith to steal the ball. Now the next possession was pivotal. The first thing that happened was Melo missed 2 point-blank shots in the paint, but Tyson Chandler came to the rescue. If people remember anything from Tyson Chandler's first season with the Knicks, it was those volleyball tapbacks. His first tapback got the ball to Shumpert. He kicked it out to Melo, who kicked it out to JR, who missed another 3. But Tyson tapped the rebound out again to JR, who then gave it to Melo. Melo was like, let me take care of it now. Just like in regulation, Woodson didn't call a timeout. Melo took the ball back to the same spot he made the other 3. This time, Deng was guarding him. He shot the 3 and made it. Same place and it was nearly swished. What's interesting about the call is that Mike Breen doesn't say bang, instead he screams, puts it in. Unlike the other 3, this one put the Knicks up for good.
Smith in the hands of Anthony. Anthony for 3, puts it in! Knicks by 1 with 8.2 remaining! And again, you've got a 6'9" guy on you. He's a couple of feet again beyond the arc. Boy, both teams hitting such big shots, throwing some missed free throws. And now Chicago with a chance with 8.2 remaining. Anthony, 4 of 5 from downtown, 43 points for Anthony. And that is a season high for him.
The final possession is a fun one to analyze from a coaching point of view. Remember that there were only 8 seconds remaining. First, you'll notice that Rose and Shumpert tripped over one another. That not only prevented Rose from grabbing the inbound pass at the top of the key, but it also prevented him from driving on the strong side. Instead, Joakim Noah received the pass and drove to his left. The Bulls had a mini triangle positioning where Noah kicked it out to Korver. Noah, defended by Tyson, attempted to set the screen on Landry Fields, who was defending Korver. The whole purpose was to get the ball back to Rose. Unfortunately, that wasted 4 seconds of time. The switches resulted in Shump defending Korver the 3, while Fields defended Rose. As Rose drove to his left, Chandler followed him just like a QB spy play in football. Rose funneled into Chandler and attempted a tough layup over his arm, and he missed it. He almost made it too. What a crazy ending.
Shumpert picks him up on the switch. They both fall down inside to Noah. Noah on the dribble. Back out to Korver. Final seconds. Rose dribbles it off. Rose drives, puts it up. No good. And the Knicks win in overtime.
I remember the Bulls were down, I think by 20 or something like that in the first quarter. Like, the Knicks were killing them. The Bulls clawed their way back, and then Melo took control and hit the game-tying shot at the end of the fourth quarter and the game-winning shot in overtime from the same exact spot. And on the second one, Luol Deng actually fouled him. He got hit in the face, but it's Melo, so you know he's not going to get that call ever. But I was working at a Greek restaurant as a waiter. We had a TV up there, and there was maybe 6 or 7 people max in the whole restaurant. So when all that was going on, I was obviously freaking out, going insane, and may or may not have gotten yelled at by my boss, who was downstairs in her office watching everything on the camera. But yeah, just a game that I'll remember forever, and I think a lot of people will for a long, long time.
So you just pretty much went through what happened with Melo in 2011 and that crazy game in Easter. For you, what does this shot signify in terms of like Melo's career in New York? You know, it didn't pan out the way a lot of us hoped. It ended up being a moment that we cling to today, even though it wasn't a playoff game, it was a playoff push, all that stuff. But to me, this is like the Melo moment, and it's the thing you remember most from his tenure, I would say.
Yeah, I think this officially welcomed Melo as a Knick. Yes, he had this 42-point game against Boston in the playoff last year, or 2011, sorry. Yeah. But I think this moment really introduced him as the guy on the Knicks. If you looked at the starting lineup introductions every game before that, when Amari was playing, Amari would always be the last guy introduced.
Okay.
And I think this game really
was it the next game? Was it Melo? That'd be so funny if I immediately right after. Was it the next season where he started getting?
Well, see, the next season Amari was hurt most of the year, right?
So it pretty much helped anyway.
It almost was de facto Amari. Amari was not the first lead guy anymore. But I think this was it was just a career trajectory, like trajectory-defining moment for Melo, and I just think that you never saw Madison Square Garden roar like this. I mean,
since you could say that.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't seen it since. You saw some in Linsanity, but I just think when you saw both those shots go down, you didn't see anything like that.
Yeah, I think people forget, there were a lot of lean years leading up to getting starts. Now, obviously, it was bad. We had the Marbury years, the mid-2000s, Isaiah, but this entire time you're seeing guys like, Kobe was having his time. LeBron came in the league, he was killing it. Everyone felt like who's the wing star that the Knicks are going to have? Melo comes in, and now he's the guy. He's hitting these tough shots. He's taking the game by the scruff of the neck. And these threes were such, like FU threes. That's the thing about it. It was straight up. And this is before, like, guys were tossing up threes from everywhere.
Yep.
You remember that Steph Curry game? I think happened. Was it this year or the year after? The crazy Curry game at the Garden.
Oh, the year after, yeah.
It was the year after, right? So the league hadn't fully gone crazy with just tossing up wild threes, and Melo comes down back to back in terms of fourth quarter overtime, and it's just like, I'm making this shot in the Garden. You're not gonna stop.
The crazy part is I mentioned earlier, but had he missed those shots, we'd be like, man, Melo, why did you take these shots?
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because they were so far beyond the 3-point arc. I was like, what do you?
Off balance, kind of like semi fadeaway. Yeah, definitely not. In no way, shape, or form a high quality shot. Not to mention, I think both plays he pretty much got the ball at half court.
Yeah.
So there was not even anything going on.
There were no timeouts taken. So this was just Melo. You're doing whatever you do, and he left so much time on the clock. I think on both plays, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But he made both shots, which is more important than anything. And after each shot, you could just see the crowd roar like crazy.
It was insane, it really reminds people of the Larry Johnson moment, of course. Just the idea, I love those, those wide pan shots when you see the Garden go crazy, and you see people on the court. I remember Melo trying to high five the guy.
Yeah.
Did he have the green headband for like the whole NBA game?
Yeah, he had the very like narrow green headband.
Yeah,
It was weird.
So many unique things about it because like the NBA doesn't do that anymore. So it's almost like a time capsule. You look back at this moment. You look at on the court. The court is orange before we changed it. There's so many things about this moment that make it cool. Against the Bulls too. So kind of weird redemption for the 90s.
I actually wish that they did the whole pan moment where the entire crowd roared, just like they did the Larry Johnson 3.
Yeah, from like above. Where
where you saw it from above, saw it from like behind the hoop. I wish they did that. It would have been surreal. But I think when you got the crowd noise, I think that really signified everything. I mean, more than that, this was in the current moment. It was a playoff-defining moment because that really put the Knicks at 29-27. They needed to win every single game to get into
18-6 down the stretch, right?
18-6 down the stretch.
18-6. Imagine the Knicks going 18-6.
Yeah, think of every single game as like a playoff game.
Yeah, at that point, right? Trying to make that run.
Every single game mattered, and they had more important games after that Bulls game. So, and the Bulls are the #1 seed, so they knew if they were going to go anywhere in the playoffs, they would have to beat the Bulls. They didn't beat the Bulls before then. They lost to them actually pretty badly on national TV. That was the game before Mike D'Antoni resigned.
When he just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, Melo actually had a terrible game. I think it was I forget what happened, but it was just a complete mess.
Yeah.
So this game was very, very important for them.
This is why Vivek's a history guy. Yeah. We're going to have you back for sure in the future because we're going to be doing a series. You'll see we're going to bring up some Knicks moments. If you have Knicks moments you really want us to talk about specifically, drop them in the comments below. The next video will be about Willis Reed.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll be talking about him walking out. I know you know about it. But thanks so much for being here, Throwback, and let the people know where they can find all your stuff and Twitter and everything.
Yeah, no doubt. Nick Film School. It's NYK Film School is the Twitter handle now, and you can just look at my personal Twitter handle. It's Vdadhania, VDADHANIA. I post all the history moments, and you'll see it all throughout the year.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here. Peace out, guys. See you soon.
We came out here, we gutted it out. We had a will to win today, and we did. I'll take my hat off to everybody on my team.